Welcome to the class on Gunas. In our previous class, we explored this profound philosophy of Samkhya, the system that revealed how everything in your life arises from the dance between the two forces, Purusha, the silent witness, and Prakriti, the field of becoming. Samkhya gave us the map of the 24 tattvas, the building blocks of experience. The question we can ask now is what makes those blocks move, transform, and evolve? In which way does this primordial soup take this multitude of forms of creation? And this is where the three gunas come in. So what precisely are these three gunas? In Sanskrit, guna means that which binds or that which conditions. In the Samkhya thought, matter, Prakriti, that we've talked about in our previous class, is not a block of inert atoms of hard particles. It is a dynamic interplay of three fundamental qualities. Sattva, which is clarity, Rajas, which is movement, and Tamas, or inertia. This primordial matter does not exist as physical form until these forces shift from balance. When consciousness or Purusha touches this balanced field, it disturbs the harmony, triggering evolution, leading first to intelligence, Mahat, then the ego, the mind, the sense perception, and finally all the way down to the physical elements, like we have seen in the previous class. The three gunas are not separate entities. They are woven together like strands in a rope, inseparable, and creating the dynamic forms and patterns that we perceive through our senses. Think of it this way. Modern science describes atoms as vibrant gatherings of subatomic particles, electrons, protons, and neutrons, whose arrangement and motion determine the structure and the behavior of matter. Well, in a similar way, in Ayurveda, Sattva, which is lightness, Rajas, which is motion, and Tamas, or heaviness, are these sub-qualities that combine and recombine in different ways to form everything, from thought to rock, just as changing an electron's position or velocity can alter an entire atom. Shifting the balance among these gunas transforms the qualities of matter, whether physical, energetic, or mental. Basically, everything that has come into being since then, galaxies, ideas, emotions, entire civilizations, is the result of their constant interplay. Each guna brings forth its own mood and its own frequency into the manifested world. And each of us holds all three in varying proportions, shifting moment by moment. Now, each of the gunas can be seen in nature, in food, in people, and in your own mind, sometimes all within the same day. Let's look at them more closely. First, there is Sattva, the guna of balance, intelligence, and harmony. In nature, Sattva is present in the morning sunlight, in this gentle, soft, and life-giving light. It is in a still lake reflecting the sky. It is in the fresh blossoms and in the ripe fruit, vibrant and nourishing. When it predominates, everything feels aligned. There is a sense of ease, not because life is easy, but because the inner sky is clear. A sattvic person tends to be calm and reflective. Their presence feels steady. Their choices are wise, not impulsive. They live simply, speak gently, and value truth above drama. Emotionally, Sattva expresses itself as joy, contentment, generosity, and quiet courage. It's the clarity behind compassion, the strength behind serenity. In this state, one naturally gravitates towards practices that nourish and uplift. Prayer, study, kindness, and devotion. You will find Sattva in the kitchen too, in the fresh fruits, soaked nuts, warm ghee, soft grains, and vibrant vegetables. These foods carry prana. They support life without overstimulating or dulling the senses. They are sweet in the truest sense. Then there is Rajas, the force of motion, desire, and passion. Can you think of some examples in nature where Rajas is present? Well, it is in a rushing river, or gusting wind, or the wild ocean waves. It is in a storm's thunder, or volcanic eruption, powerful and passionate and catalytic. It is in the bees buzzing, birds fleeting, relentless motion driven by desire and purpose. Raja stirs the still water of Sattva into action. It's not bad in itself. In fact, it is necessary for change and growth. But left unchecked, it becomes restlessness, overstimulation, or even burnout. A Rajasic state is one of striving, always reaching, always chasing. The mind is quick, reactive, sometimes brilliant, but often scattered. Emotionally, Rajas manifests as ambition, jealousy, craving, and anxiety. It fuels competition, achievement, desire for recognition. And in terms of lifestyle, Rajas pulls us into overwork, multitasking, loud environments, and late nights. Its foods are fried, overly spicy or salty, heavily processed or loaded with stimulants. You know, the kind that excite the tongue but agitate the mind. Coffee and sugar are classic examples. Rajas isn't the villain, it's the spark. But if it runs the show, peace slips away. And then there is Tamas, the guna of darkness, heaviness, and inertia. So where do we find inertia in nature? We see it in a mountain's silent and dense immobility. In the thick soil or mud, grounded, heavy, and unyielding to motion. And in the decaying leaves or stale water, dark and obscured from light. Tamas is the force that allows form to take shape. It grounds, it conceals, it rests. But in excess, it becomes stagnation. A tamasic state can feel like being stuck in thick fog. The mind slows down, emotions grow dull or heavy. There is procrastination, confusion, avoidance, maybe even despair. Tamas brings forth dullness and leads us away from awareness. In behavior, tamas appears as lethargy, disinterest, disconnection, or numbness. The pull toward isolation, sleep that isn't restful, habits that feed more dullness than strength. Tamas shows up in food as well. Meat, alcohol, fermented leftovers, overly processed or stale meals. These weigh us down, clog the senses, and disconnect us from the source. The gunas aren't static traits, they are movements, they are forces in motion. They operate according to three subtle but powerful principles, laws that shape the rhythm of your day, your moods, your energy, even your spiritual path. First, there's the law of alternation, because nothing stays the same. In any given hour, you might feel serene and inspired, that means sattvic. Then, all of a sudden, you become restless and agitated, that means rajasic. And later, you become sluggish, dull, or withdrawn, that means tamasic. This is the dance of life. The gunas are constantly interacting, like waves on the surface of the consciousness. You probably noticed it already. After a deep meditation, you feel light and centered. Then, an email triggers a frenzy, and by the end of the day, you collapse into the couch, exhausted, eating chips and watching TV. Well, that's Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas taking turns. The key is not to judge the shifts, but to witness them and to know how to return to balance. The second law is the law of persistence. Once a guna takes the lead, it tends to stay there for a while. This is why a tamasic morning with oversleeping, heavy breakfast, Avoidance can cast a fog over your entire day. Or why a sattvic start, like a nice morning routine, prayer, warm shower, silence, can ripple into clarity and focus for hours. The gunas have inertia. They carry themselves forward until something redirects them. So a rajasic binge of stimulation, such as scrolling on your phone, sugar, or multitasking, is often followed by tamasic collapse. And only when you rest, digest, and nourish yourself can sattva emerge again. Knowing this gives you power. You don't have to be swept along. You can choose what to feed yourself with. And thirdly, there is the law of relativity. What feels sattvic in one context may be tamasic in another. A 5 a.m. prayer or walk through the quiet forest could be sattva in motion. But for someone who's been out partying all night, it's probably tamasic punishment. A glass of wine might calm one person, as in rajas to tamas, but could numb another already immersed in inertia. A heated debate might energize a dull mind, as in tamas to rajas, but may pull a sattvic heart into chaos. This law reminds us Ayurveda is not dogma, it's discernment. Know thyself and know what you need now. So what is the usage of this knowledge on gunas in Ayurveda? Well, in Ayurveda you cannot heal the body without tending to the mind, and you cannot balance the mind without understanding the gunas. Sattva is the foundation of healing. It brings clarity, insight, gentleness, and stability. It prepares the ground for true transformation. Rajas is the energy of change. It is useful when we need to come out of a tamasic state, such as lethargy and depression, for instance. However, when dominant, it blows the fire too high. It aggravates pitta and is leading to inflammation, anger, stress, and burnout. Tamas is necessary as it brings rest and stillness. When excessive, it smothers the light. It aggravates kapha, dragging us into depression, stagnation, and disease that lingers in silence. This is why every Ayurvedic treatment, whether diet, herbs, massage, or meditation, ultimately aims at elevating sattva. First to heal, then to transcend. Because the goal of Ayurveda isn't just the well-functioning of the body, it is liberation. So what can we do about it? How can we balance our gunas? Well, the fastest and the most tangible way to shift your gunas is food. Not just what you eat, but how, when, and with what intention. Sattvic foods are alive with prana. They are fresh, seasonal, and whole. Think of a freshly picked fruit, of warm ghee, soaked almonds, lightly cooked greens, and fragrant spices. They nourish gently. They don't overstimulate or sedate. They support clarity. On the other hand, rajasic foods stir the senses. They excite the mind. They are your spicy curries, your salty chips, the greasy snacks, and the caffeinated jolts. They wake you up, but they leave you wired or scattered. Tamasic foods are lifeless, canned, microwaved, industrial. They are left too long in the fridge, heavy, with no vitality. These foods weigh not just on your stomach, but on the spirit. As Ayurveda reminds us, you are not just what you eat. You are what you digest, and what you digest shapes the quality of your mind. Choose accordingly. Ayurveda doesn't just stop at balance, it points beyond. Because first we must cultivate sattva, that's true, through food, through breath, through truthfulness, prayer, discipline, devotion, and silence, and beauty. Sattva is the light we build our inner home within. But then, with steady practice, we begin to realize that we are not the gunas at all. We are not the light, the fire, or the shadow. We are the witness of all three. This is the spiritual gift of Samkhya and Ayurveda. The reminder that healing begins with awareness and ends in freedom. And here's the subject of reflection for you for the next time. Watch the gunas, see their play, observe the moments of the day when they take over. And oh, by the way, if you want to know where you stand in your guna imbalance, check out the guna evaluation form. You can download it from my website by checking the link below. As a final thought, Sattva is not the end goal. It's the launch pad. It is the clarity that allows you to finally see yourself as you are. And when you start seeing clearly, you begin to heal. In the next session, we continue exploring Ayurveda's spiritual foundation by looking into the law of karma. How does past action shape your constitution, your disease, even your healing journey? What does karma really mean from an Ayurvedic perspective, and how can it become a tool for awakening? You'll find that out in the next class. So let's dive into that mystery together.